You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Good morning, freedom lovers. Morning, Ken.
Morning, Vic.
It's like doing the New York Times crossword puzzle every morning when you come in here because it's a brand new thing. Ken's got all new stuff to touch and pull and push and all that stuff. So we're here. We're ready to roll. Thursday, our favorite day of the week.
Yeah.
Why? Because Karen Kataline starts us off every Thursday morning, and she'll be up in just a sec. So at 9:25 today, we thought we would bring back an old favorite because every Thursday now at 9:25 we play Careening into the Abyss, right? That's where we make fun of Kareen, whatever her name is, Binder, and play some clips from her, and then we make fun of that. But if you remember back to the previous press secretary for Joe Biden, we made fun of her every Thursday, and that was Jen Psaki. So today we bring back PSAKI to me.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Gregory Wrightstone, we haven't talked to him in a while. He's the executive director of the CO2 Coalition, and he's going to talk about a whole bunch of things. He's got a new book called Inconvenient Facts, the Science That Al Gore Doesn't Want You to Know. And there is a volcano that's expected to erupt in Iceland very soon, and that's going to be a mess. That's going to be a great big mess.
And that could potentially be a worldwide thing that we haven't been talking about because of all the other things happening.
From the smoke that comes out of it?
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember Mount St. Helens affected most of the United States, right?
Yeah, and previous volcano explosions have happened, and they've covered the whole Earth. I mean, if they get up in that airstream, then it goes around the world.
Wait, all of the Himalayas? With
17,000 miles worth.
Every 17,000?
Every foot that Joe Biden walked, yeah.
With his backpack?
With his backpack.
Come on, President Xi, let's go hiking in the Himalayas. I got plenty of energy to go 17,000 miles. All right, so the 10 o'clock hour, we got Porcelli's Deli at 10:25. What that's going to be about is just an amazing, extraordinary day that happened on this day, or on this week in 1974. We'll get into that later. The most of the hour, we'll be talking about a resolution 2308 in St. Charles County, which is opposing letting illegal Latino immigrants into the county, right?
Right.
And we'll have one side of it from Mike Elam, who is a county councilman and an old friend of ours. We used to work with him years ago.
Yeah.
And Joe Brazel, also on the St. Louis County Council. One voted for it, one voted against it. We'll find out why and what's going on.
We'll get down to it.
Okay, well, best we can. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ken, who leads us this morning?
Listener Sandra Danahold from Illinois.
The farmer.
The farmer.
Sandra
Yeah.
D. My God, I miss her. Okay, Sandra, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Sandra D. Look at me. I'm Sandra D. All right, we ready?
Yes.
Ooh, go. God, it takes me so many oys and oy to get into this chair. The one and only Karen Kataline.
Did you know that I'm married to a trucker? I feel like using a Yiddish word, famished. Toiling in front of my computer, I am. They're just too dumb to lie. He has the effect of 6 shots of scotch.
Karen Kataline, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. It feels like forever.
It does feel like forever
Since
with Thanksgiving
I've
last
talked to you.
week. Yeah. You know, I was just, the chairs that we sit in here, the counter's very high. It's a high counter, you know, and the chairs have to accommodate for that. So the chairs are very high. And when I get in it, I think of that. Sometimes I say, you know, I leaped off my seat. Okay, I didn't leap. I just went, oy, oy, okay. And that's what you got to do to get in and out of all these chairs.
Sounds like you're in a bar stool.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a comfy bar stool.
Oh, good.
If that makes any sense.
My legs would dangle because I'm short.
you know who you'd look like? Elizabeth Ann. Edith Ann, right.
Edith Ann. Sometimes I feel like Edith Ann.
By the way, Edith Ann was a character that Lily Tomlin did on Laughing years ago.
Can I be nitpicky about entertainment?
Go, please.
Bill O'Reilly, I was listening to his thing before I was coming on, And he got it wrong. I love it because he is a blowhard. We've talked about it.
Of course.
And he said he was referring to the line, I'll have what she's having. But he said it was Sleepless in Seattle. I know it's apropos of nothing.
Why?
It
That's
was
not nitpicky
when
at
Harry
all.
met Sally.
Get it right.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was when Harry met Sally.
I'll have
It
what
was
she's
Carl
having.
Reiner's wife.
And Karen, you don't like Bill, so that was good for you to get that out, right?
Yeah, I had to get that off get it off my chest. Bring some stuff up.
Perfect. All right, couple of things I want to talk to you about. So let's get to it. First of all, the ceasefire talk, right? First of all, Israel is in a war. We are not in this war. It's none of our business what they do, right? So everybody's calling for a ceasefire. They do the ceasefire, and then what happens? Hamas terrorists shoot up a bus stop in Jerusalem and kill 3 Israelis. Well, when you hold up your sign that says ceasefire, make sure you say, hey, Hamas, you ceasefire too, right?
It never applies equally. This stuff, I was just thinking, boy, I love when we do the light stuff, and then here we are. You never know. We do it all, whatever comes up. But it's maddening. It makes your head explode. Can you imagine, God forbid, in World War II, the media that would try to make Nazis sympathetic for what they were doing, asking the Allies to do proportional war. None of this makes an ounce of sense. And we're talking about justifying the most barbarous of acts. You don't stop the most barbarous of acts by enabling them and doing business with them. And it's just incomprehensible to me. And I don't profess by any means to be an expert or very, very knowledgeable on Israeli politics, but somebody's pressuring them to what's the word? Pontificate, prevaricate, whatever the word is, I forget, to give in to this, as they always do. I predicted it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. I mean, once upon a time when we were living in a sane country, people said we don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't reward terrorists for the barbarous acts that they do. And yet the media, which is one of the most obscene, is helping to try to rehabilitate Hamas and enabling these people who are so ignorant that they think that LGBTQ people would be safer in Gaza than in Florida.
Give it a shot.
There is something so evil about what is going on, and it's all part and parcel of the greater picture that we've been watching. You cannot look at this in a vacuum. I think America has been doing a great deal of pressuring of Israel and has for many, many decades.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on in Israel. I know a lot of people are critical of Netanyahu. I just don't know. And I'm willing to say I don't know. But what I do see is deeply and profoundly disturbing.
I also don't know much about Israeli politics, but I do know that Netanyahu is probably the best guy you want in there in a situation like this, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Let's change topics here. Let's talk about Blackface Boy. You know the story of Blackface Boy?
Oh, my God. Again, it's incomprehensible. That's like my word for today. What is it? Was it a two-tone black and something?
Red.
Like so many black and red. What was the team?
Chiefs. That's the team
The
colors.
Chiefs. The Chiefs, black and red.
Yeah.
I mean, how irrational and illogical is that?
Well,
Tell me.
not just irrational, but it's just part and parcel of what today's 21st century media does. Every picture that Deadspin put up of that kid was the blackface side. They never showed the red face side.
No.
You know? So it looks like, Al Jolson's in the crowd cheering for the Chiefs,
Can you say sins of omission on purpose?
Exactly.
To push
Lying
a
through
narrative?
omission. Of course. We say that all the time.
And nobody, I say this too much. People are being encouraged to make snap decisions today. I think that there is a greater and greater population of people who immediately go, I wonder what the rest of the story. You got to know there's the rest of the story. But all of this is this political theater to rile people up. Let me go back to the anti-Semitism question for a minute. I was thinking about this and how what chutzpah, it's the only word that fits.
Yeah.
The chutzpah of the radical left to, quote, call out their political enemies for being anti-Semitic. And in the next breath, in the next nanosecond, they're pushing anti-Semitic tropes.
Yeah.
They not only call Donald Trump anti-Semitic, but they love calling the supreme Jew hater, George Soros, you're an anti-Semite if you don't love George Soros, who hates Jews.
Right.
The whole thing is so massively psychotic, and yet it doesn't even take sometimes a news cycle for them to make those kind of flips.
Yeah.
So, one of the best things we can do is have a longer memory and connect some of these dots together. Have a longer memory.
Yeah.
As for that kid, I mean, what possible reason is there to single out a kid? How many people dress like lunatics at football games? My husband and I have been watching football a lot lately,
Yep.
just to get away from politics,
Yep.
which they won't let us get away from.
And just to include a 9-year-old in your, you know what I mean, in your
insane.
propaganda. So
Yeah.
two things I want to say here. First of all, the plan now for the next Kansas City Chiefs home game is for everyone to go to the game dressed just like that.
Yeah.
Red
Is that-
face and the
I would
headdress.
love to see that.
That's got to happen.
I really would.
And what came out also is that the kid is Native American. He's got Native American blood.
Oh my God.
You know?
Well, gee, so he can't do blackface, but he could be a Washington Redskin. I mean, the whole thing is so stupid.
Exactly.
That's so
I love that you said
stupid.
Redskin. So, okay.
Redskin.
So the guy who wrote it, his first name is Karen, Carron, right? He's now the male Karen, not you. You're a Karen that's not a Karen.
Thank
But
you. Yeah.
when this thing happened, he goes, and for the idiots that, they're saying that, well, the other side is red, for that's even worse. And it's almost like he's trying to be right just by being loud.
I have a theory. People talk loud when they want to act smart, right? Correct!
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? The funny thing is there are people who really don't see through this because they just read headlines. But I'd like to believe, shows you how I qualify it, that most people just roll their eyes and say it's ridiculous. The problem is there's something so much more sinister below it, which is to turn lies into truth and truth into lies and to confuse and divide people. It's really quite diabolical when you think about it, that they are really on purpose. When was the last time you saw any kind of media, commercial or otherwise, talk about getting along?
Mm-hmm.
Actual values? They don't. All they do is divide and pick at scabs and try to anger and incite violence all the time.
Karen,
It's so irresponsible.
To your
Yes.
point about that, I was on social media and I saw something. It was a guy just helping another guy cross the road, or it was a dog. I think it might have been a dog even. And I said, God, I love this. I wish we had more of this in the world. And it received so many replies. People are hungry for wanting to get together.
Aren't they ever? I'll tell you a goofy thing because, we're just chit-chatting here. I love the YouTube. When there's a video, and there was this video of this dog, probably a Portuguese water dog, that was neglected and had a mass of matted hair. The dog couldn't even walk. It was the most heartbreaking thing. I mean, the dog was literally like 3 times bigger than the dog really was. And they show this video of a Russian guy cleaning them all up. He had sores. It was just broke my heart. And then they showed his progression until he was adopted. A couple months later, he had a beautiful short coat. He looked like he had a porty. Yeah, he was a porty. And I woke up in the morning thinking about that story. I went out and started brushing my dogs.
That's great.
And that made such an impression on me because these kinds of feel-good stories, we are hungry for them.
Absolutely. All right. Finally, Henry Kissinger passes away at 100 years old. And any thoughts on old Henry?
I never thought he would finally go.
Me too.
I never cheer I never cheer death, okay? But it is amazing after what he's been a part of and has been revealed to be a true globalist, a true operator. He never was touched in any of the Nixon stuff, and yet he just kept going. And in a weird way, he reminds me of Castro. I mean, not in the same way, but I mean, a guy who just wouldn't go away. As things continued, I became less and less enchanted with Mr. Kissinger. May he rest in peace. Proof positive that no matter what you do, you still go. Yeah,
absolutely. That's right.
Just do. Do you remember how palsy-walsy he was with Hillary Clinton?
Didn't I say that to you?
I watched him.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he was.
Of all the things that he's done, all the things he's been involved with, for some reason, the only thing I can think of, because I am an idiot, was his quote, "Power is the ultimate aphrodisiac."
I remember. I have quoted one of his, which was when he was talking about two countries that were equally awful. He said, "It's a pity they both couldn't lose."
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good line.
Karen, where do we find all your great stuff, all your great thoughts, all your great
I don't
words?
know how great it is.
Come
We're
on, it's
hiatus.
great.
We're on hiatus now from Spouting Off. We don't know where we're going to land, but you are a constant, and I just love it. So it's KarenKataline.com. That's it, KarenKataline.com. Sometimes I even put our stuff up there.
All right, now I can't. Before we go, when is Hanukkah? When does that start?
Hanukkah, I don't know. I have to look at the calendar.
Oh, come on! What kind of a Jew are you?
No, it's really, Jews don't know when the holidays are. They have to look it up. We're on a lunar calendar. I'll let you know next time.
Yeah, because we have to celebrate. We got to have a little Hanukkah party here.
Chanukah.
All right.
Okay, we'll do it.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, bye.
KarenKataline.com. That's where you find her. She's great. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The Chuck Berry version.
That's okay, yeah. The original. 10 o'clock hour is going to be, it could be explosive, Ken. I have no idea. But we're going to ask Joe Brazel and Mike Elam some of the same questions, actually.
Okay.
About the St. Charles resolution, 2308 substitute resolution. I'm not even sure I know what that means. This is a very confusing thing.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
All right, we'll find out then. On 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Live and be well.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China.
Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
So, if you work in the White House, you understand what long-term care is all about, because Joe Biden is one long-term care patient for sure. But if long-term care is something that's going to infiltrate your life, you need to be ready for it now before it happens. And that's where Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management comes in. Because if you or someone else you know is providing or managing care for a loved one, it gets incredibly expensive. And there could be more cost-efficient solutions for you, and that's where Chris Cooper comes in again. He's a great triple threat CPA, financial strategist, long-term care planning specialist, and he can help you get those hard-earned assets to fund the quality of care you deserve, even with long-term care. It's expensive, it's complicated, but Chris can sort it all out for you. He's got a book that he wrote. It's free. It's called A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You can get it right now for free at SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. This is a paid endorsement. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Serenity Now! St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peter's. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Now go home and get your shine box.
On News Talk STL.
So when you go vote, right, in any election, there are some things on the ballot that are, what do they call them, Ken? It's not voting for a person, but you're voting on a
bill or a
referenda. The referenda,
proposition,
right? And so when the referenda questions are on the ballot, it's like this paragraph you read, and sometimes you can't understand what it is, so you don't even know what you're voting on.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then you find out later, I should have voted on that, because half the time you read the paragraph and like, I'm not going to do this. And then, that could be the difference sometimes. It's complicated. Another thing that is complicated is what's happening right now in St. Charles County, and that is a substitute resolution. Still getting up to speed on this substitute resolution thing. It's 2308. You can look it up. And it basically is opposing a program that will allow Latino immigrants to come to St. Charles County, right?
Right.
It needed 4 votes to pass. The vote was 3-3. 2 members of the council weren't there. So now it's been tabled. We're going to get both sides of this issue, one from Joe Brazel, who voted for this bill that opposes the Latino immigrants coming to the region, and Mike Elam, who voted against it. So we'll find out why.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
That's what we're trying to do, is just get to the bottom of it, find out more about it, because, you and I both, we don't know a lot about it.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So let's get it out in the open. Let's find out. Right now, though, it pleases me to say, and Ken and I were just like, I don't remember how we did this. It's been so long since we've done it, but it's a little thing we like to call PSAKI to me.
Sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me.
Sock it to yourself.
Sock it to me, honey.
Sock it to me.
Holy cow. Sounds great. So, a couple things. Jen Psaki used to be the press secretary. That's when we did this Psaki to me every week. And first of all, I'd like to say Susie Moore named it.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about what can we do. He goes, how about like Psaki to me and the old laugh and stuff? I was like, yes, perfect. And also that she is now on MSNBC doing a show every day saying the same stupid stuff that she did from the podium.
Exactly.
So why not pull some out and, make fun of her again?
Why not?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, Jen, the spotlight's back on you. Ken, serve me some sake.
The New York Times writes this about Donald Trump's decision to commute the prison sentence of Jonathan Braun on the last day of his presidency. Quote, nearly 3 years later, the consequences of Mr. Braun's commutation are becoming clearer, raising new questions about how Mr. Trump intervened in criminal justice decisions and what he could do in a second term, when he would have the power to make good on his suggestions that he would free supporters convicted of storming the Capitol and possibly even to pardon himself if convicted of the federal charges he faces.
So, a couple of things here.
Yeah.
First of all, now he's a candidate. He's the front runner, right? Donald Trump is the front runner
By
now.
far, yes.
So now you have to talk about him. But if he were not, they'd still just be talking about him because he still lives rent-free in their heads.
They all do it every day. And dude, I don't know if they realize this, Vic. I'm glad you brought this up because I see it every day on network news. And they keep talking about Trump. He's getting free promotion again.
See?
It's great.
So you might as well take it, right? So she's talking there about when he commuted the sentence and pardoned a guy named Jonathan Braun, who was a drug smuggler. And, here's the thing, too. You have to realize what hypocrites the left are. Barack Obama used to hang out with the Weather Underground crowd.
Right.
Right? Bill Ayers and the people who actually put bombs.
They blew up facilities.
Right. Blew up facilities with bombs. And we're worried about Donald Trump pardoning this guy, Jonathan Braun. So, again, he still lives in their head. They can't do a show without mentioning Donald Trump because they don't have anything to say for their own party or for their own, ideology, because liberals, the liberal ideology just doesn't work. We're watching it not work in front of our eyes.
Oh, yeah. And you talk about hypocritical. Let's go back to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton pardoning all those people that had to do with the Whitewater scam, all that other stuff that was going on during the Bill Clinton era. They pardoned so many people.
Presidents pardon people.
And they were crooked as can be, but they just did.
Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Pardons happen. All right, let's do another one, Ken. You ready?
Yeah.
Sake to me. Oh, no. Serve me some sake. I'll get
One
it.
of the things that also stuck out to me and was a reminder to me, having worked in government for so many years, is what Bill Barr said when he said when he took over the Justice Department, quote, there was pardons being given out without any vetting by the department. And this is so interesting because there's tradition here, right? As you know, because you've covered this for many years, where the Justice Department oversees the vetting process, right? And then it goes to the White House. But it's not law. The president has the ability to pardon people on his own. So this kind of raises this big question about what Donald Trump, as you raised in the story, would do in a second term with the pardon power, because there aren't legal protections.
You answered your own question, Jen. The president has the power to pardon. Doesn't need Congress.
This is a typical Democrat fascist move. For 200 plus years, we had no problem with the Supreme Court being 9 people.
Yeah.
But as soon as the Democrats realize, well, we're just not getting our way, we need to pack that court.
So, Ken, is our side... I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Well, no, but this just goes right along with it. For so long, the president had free access to be able... That was one of his perks, to pardon people that he thought were unjustly convicted or whatever.
But go ahead. The thing about the left is that two things that you just said. They want to pack the Supreme Court, right? Over time, and this will not be in my lifetime, but when the court gets to a point where there's more liberals than conservatives, and then we say we want to pack the court, they're going to say, no.
What do you mean? That's just racist.
That's just racist. We got the power now. We're not giving that up. Forget about it. So, and then the other thing was it was packing the House. And then what was the other thing you said?
Well, we were talking about how they want to change this now because it's not fitting for them.
Oh, right. So when Biden wants to start pardoning people at the end of his term,
right? Hopefully
it will be in January 2025.
Right.
And he's going to want to pardon people.
Well, I know. Okay, never mind. You're right. You were right.
So when he starts pardoning people, are we going to say, hey, what's going on here? You can't just pardon people willy-nilly.
We've never said it.
Right. Nobody ever says it.
No.
Only because it's Donald Trump. If it were a different Republican president, they wouldn't be saying it.
They might, but they really want to say it now because it's Donald Trump.
Of course. All right. Got time for more?
Yeah.
All right, Ken. Serve me. This is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Serve me some sake.
Every once in a while,
God.
we get a piece of...
Hold it. The fry.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it. Yes. She's got the bad vocal fry.
Every once in a while.
Well, give me some lines here.
Every once in a while, we get a piece of investigative reporting that tells us a lot about Donald Trump, who he chooses to associate himself with.
Stop. She can't go 30 seconds without saying his name.
No, these are different times.
This is the third story that she had to say his name.
Right.
Is that what they do all day? Like in the meetings of what they're going to talk about on the news? Okay, what are we going to say about Trump? Well, we have this issue of here. Nope. If it's not Trump, we don't want it. Right?
In the legacy Pfizer media, so many people are going to be fired because when Donald Trump's not in the news.
That's true. You're right. All right, continue, I guess.
A lot about Donald Trump, who he chooses to associate himself with, and how he operates. And on Sunday, the New York Times posted one of those stories, and boy, was it a doozy.
Stop. Oh, the New York Times?
Yeah.
The credible New York Times posted a story that was a doozy?
That loves Trump. They love Trump.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
This Times report was just about one of the 143 pardons and commutations that Trump granted on his last day in office. One given to a guy named Jonathan Braun, courtesy of Jared Kushner. And I want to tell you the story of this guy because, as I said, this one story tells us a lot about how Trump operated as president and also how we can expect he would continue to operate if he was to win a second term.
Wow. How do they get away with that? How he will. You don't know what he's doing, he's thinking. You think he's smart, you're smarter than him, and you're not.
And I know that's from, we could have started with that one, but I just wanted to note the very end of that. She's actually laying out what Trump is going to do as the next president.
Right. Part of that is because they think Trump is going to say, oh, well, they think I'm going to do that. Well, guess what? I'm not going to do that. But if doing that is the right thing, he'll still do it because he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
No.
All right. Ken, I'm sorry, but that's all the time we have for PSAKI To Me. Boy, this was fun doing this. We do this maybe once a month or so. Can we do it that often?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So that's all the time we have for PSAKI To Me. Say goodnight, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Hi. Good night, everybody.
All right, so we'll do that maybe once a month or so just to remember how stupid Jen Psaki is, and just because we're so in love with all that vocal fry that she does.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to start talking with a vocal fry. Is that
Don't
okay?
do that.
Come on.
Don't. I'll walk out of this room.
Coming up next. Gregory Wrightstone, who was the executive director of the Geologist.
Stop it.
Okay. On 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
But I feel badly also about the fistulas that are taking place in Eastern Congo.
On News Talk STL. Columbo and Katie.
A 94-year-old vet struggles to move on after a nursing home in New York evicted him and replaced him with illegal migrants. We'll speak with Dr. Randy Tobler about this at 3:05 on Thursday.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Our good friend Congressman Eric Burleson.
We're now under impeachment inquiry. We're moving towards the efforts to be able to get the Biden's bank records. I think that we have now enough evidence to win that over to court. It's going to probably take 2 to 3 months. If I had to predict, I think that we will be impeaching Biden by spring.
Wow.
That's where things are headed.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Are you a natural leader driven by the desire to make a lasting impact? Is your deepest calling to be an elected official making a real difference? Now, picture yourself with the power to shape the future in St. Louis City. St. Louis needs your leadership now more than ever. The urgency is real. The Republican Party, City of St. Louis can help you file, be your guiding force, and support you during the campaign. Contact stlouisrepublicans.com and step into your destiny.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
This hour of the Vic Porcelli Show brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
You can't worry about what other people think. I mean, have you met other people?
On News Talk STL.
How can a girl that young have more sense than the President of the United States?
I know.
Welcome home to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Boy, Rock'em Sock'em second hour. We're going to talk to two members of the St. Louis County Council about this substitute resolution 2308 on whether or not to allow illegal aliens into St. Charles County. And by the way, Porcelli's Deli at 1025 today. A most extraordinary day, Ken. Most extraordinary that happened this week in 1974.
Okay.
Right now, though, let's welcome back to the show Gregory Wrightstone. He is the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. Hey, Gregory, thanks for coming back and talking to us.
Oh, sure. It's been a while, but there's a lot to go over here.
Absolutely.
As there always is when we're talking about climate change.
Exactly right. Let's bring up the book, Inconvenient Facts, which I love because Al Gore's whole thing was Inconvenient Truth.
Right.
And now Greg said, well, here are the inconvenient facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Book doing well, by the way?
It still is.
Good.
And my new book is out now and available for pre-publication orders. Will be shipping probably in the next week or 10 days. The title, you're going to love the title. The title is A Very Convenient Warming, How Modest Warming and More CO2 Are Benefiting Humanity. And so in this new book, I've gone beyond saying that there's not a climate crisis, and there's not, to touting and just extolling the huge benefits. We're seeing by almost every metric you look at that Earth's ecosystems are thriving and prospering, and humanity's benefiting greatly from this warming and more CO2. I call it the biggest untold story of this 21st century.
Gregory, you and I have talked about it many times before, and I know I sound so elementary when I say it, but CO2 is good for the trees that they all wanted to save 30 years ago, right? Save the trees, save the trees. Well, just breathe out, and you're saving the trees, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, and what we're seeing is we're not seeing deforestation. We're seeing reforestation. Where we're losing forests around the world are mainly attributable to these silly renewable energy processes. In the Southeast Asia, they're cutting down mature forests and replacing it with palm oil plantations, monoculture. They call it for biofuels. They're cutting down large swaths of mature forests in North Carolina, turning them into wood pellets and shipping them to the United Kingdom where they're burned. That's supposed to be renewable energy to cut down our forests here and ship it to the UK. To cover vast swaths of our grasslands and forests with industrial facilities for wind turbines and solar panels. No, thank you. I don't want any parts of that. I don't know. I know you don't either.
No, I don't. We're talking to Gregory Wrightstone. He is the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. Gregory, I want to talk about this volcano, but just a couple more thoughts, if you don't mind. And I'm going to say them both here, and if you can comment on both of them in one response. The wind farms, right, off the coast of New Jersey, my home state where I grew up. Back 30 years ago, it was save the whales, save the whales. Now the wind farms are pushing the whales out of the water onto the beach, and the whales are dying. Now it's like, screw the whales, screw the whales. And then the other thing I wanted to say was solar power. We have this thing in my house. It sticks to the back of the house, and it's a solar power little light that's motion activated. So when you walk out into the yard, the light comes on. Except if it's cloudy for 2 days, it doesn't go on.
Right.
So if that little thing can't work, how are gigantic solar power things supposed to work?
Oh, you're right about that. It's an unworkable arrangement that they're proposing. Because solar power in particular has, if you look at what their nameplate or faceplate, boilerplate, how much electricity they can put out. Well, they do that, but they can only do it about 30% or less of the time. Because as you know, it's obviously it's dark half of the time, and especially now in the winter, a lot more than that. And the wind too, often stops blowing when it's really, really, really hot. Or in Texas, we saw that it stopped blowing and during that terrible cold that they had. The cold set in and the wind stops blowing. And so that's just, they often fail when they need it the most.
How?
And then they've gone to, there's another thing people haven't really talked about. Natural gas-fired electricity is huge, and we heat our homes with natural gas. They've forced many of the producers to replace their control valves that used to be operated by the pressure of the gas, methane, and they've forced them to go to electric. So now if the electric fails, the gas can't flow because it can't lift the fluids that come up with it. These things are just one bad thing after another. With this crazy, it's a top-down system where we're having the big government tell producers and independents what to do instead of letting them do what's best for their own production.
How is Alaska supposed to deal with solar energy when it's dark 6 months at a time? Right?
You got that right. Yeah, I did an interview. This was it was 3 weeks ago up in Alaska with a radio host there. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. It was 22 degrees. This was in October. Yeah, it gets pretty doggone cold up there. And you're right, solar absolutely, and solar really doesn't work throughout most of the northern latitudes of the United States either. It could work somewhat, I'm not going to say efficiently, but it's better in Arizona, New Mexico, or even Florida, where you get a lot of sunshine.
That solar thing on the back of my house is like 2 inches by 3 inches, and it can't even soak up enough solar thing to put that little light on. All right, let's move on. Gregory Wrightstone is our guest. He is the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. He's got a couple of books out we'll talk about at the end. So this volcano in Iceland, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, seismicities began increasing, the earthquakes began late October and then really, really ramped up and peaked, maybe a week ago, and it's really dropped off significantly since then. There may well still be an eruption. But what's interesting, again, in my new book, the second part of my book, I deal with the strong relationship between human history and climate history. And in that section, I discuss about how 3 times in the last 3,000 years, volcanoes on Iceland, big ones, erupted. And they affected global temperature and global agriculture for years afterwards. The most active volcano there is Hekla. It's erupted 300 times, more than 300 times over the last 400 years that we know of. So it erupts It might be the one that goes here. But 1159 BC it erupted.
Wow.
Huge volcano. It was in the middle of what was called the Greek Dark Ages, a very cold, dismal period where the cold contributed to mass depopulation and crop failure. But then the volcano erupted, blocked out the sun, lowered the temperature even further. And then again in 1140 AD, it erupted again. Again, it led to crop failure, famine. And then in 1783, another volcano in Iceland, Laxagár, erupted, and it was so bad it led to 5 years of global temperature decline, crop failure. It led to, during this time, it was the Little Ice Age, cold period. 50% of the population of Iceland perished during this time, the combination of the volcanic activity and crop failures. In fact, the Danish authorities ruled Iceland at the time, and they briefly considered abandoning the entire island nation.
Wow.
So the really, really big ones have huge negative consequences, mainly on agriculture, because you're blocking the sun and you're lowering the temperature. That's a bad combination for crop production.
I swear to God,
and we saw it.
Don't they think about anything in advance? That because what you're talking about is the exact opposite of what they say is going to happen, right? Because you got this volcano. If it goes again, temperatures are going to plummet. Then where's their big climate change argument then? What are they going to say then?
Exactly. The good news I have for you, though, I think if this does erupt, and it may, I don't think it's going to be one of these really big explosive volcanoes, because volcanoes can be explosive. Think Mount Pinatubo or Mount St. Helens, kabam, and there they go. It spews sulfates, aerosols, and dust up into the stratosphere. The other type is called effusive volcanic eruptions, where it just flows out pretty much, and it just flows. And it feels this one, because you can actually, there's an online, you can listen to the magma underneath moving, and so it's probably a pretty fluid magma for this, and it'll probably come out maybe along a series of miles long of a large fissure that opens up and then flows out.
When is this going to happen, Gregory?
Good question.
Oh, sorry.
It looked like it was going to any moment. If you'd have asked me a week ago, I say it could go, this afternoon. But it's the seismicity has decreased substantially. They will continue. Iceland, again, is no stranger to both earthquakes and volcanoes, because it's the surface expression of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is the spreading center. So there's always magma spreading and climbing, coming up from the mantle and expressed on the island of Iceland. And so it's hard to predict when a volcano is going to erupt. Right. And one of my favorite quotes is from Yogi Berra. He says, "Making predictions is really tough, especially about the future."
St. Louis's own Yogi Berra, I'd like to say.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he grew up on the hill. But listen to this, Gregory. He grew up on the hill across the street from Joe Garagiola. They were school neighbors.
Wow, now you're just bragging.
That's right. And we're going to do that till the day I die, you bet. All right, let's spend the rest of the time we have here talking about the book. Let's talk about the new one first, because that title you gave me, I couldn't even write it down fast enough because it's so long. Why don't you shorten your titles there, Wrightstone? Tell us about that book and then the other book.
All you need to do is know convenient warming. If you Google convenient warming, you'll find my website, which is convenientwarming.com. And so the title is a very convenient warming. That's basically, and then the subheading is how modest warming and more CO2 are benefiting humanity. But basically the title is a very convenient warming. And again, in there, these will probably be shipping, hopefully within a week or 10 days, definitely in time for Christmas. And it's a wonderfully easy. I know you've loved my first book, Inconvenient Facts, which was readable, understandable. It was written for a non-scientist, but we didn't dummy it down at all.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean,
it's full of. This one's the same way. It's full of understandable charts.
There's a big difference, I think, between dumbing something down and just helping out the layperson. I don't know any of these terms. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Right. So we go through it, and it's a very. I came back from Florida 2 days ago, and the guy next to him, I gave him a copy, and he sat there and poured through this book. He read it. The 2 hours it took to get back up here to Virginia. He says, I didn't understand. I've never heard this. Yeah. He was dumbfounded. Why aren't we being told this? Yeah. And in fact, I was in London 3 weeks ago. I took the train to Oxford from London. Actually, we took the wrong train. I ended up heading to Scotland, and but we finally figured that out. But the guy next to me was being honored at Oxford for his lifetime achievement by the UN for sustainable development.
Yeah.
And again, we sort of thought, I gave him my book, and he got angry.
Oh.
He said, I've spent my life and my career, and I've never heard anything, none of this. Why aren't we being told this? He says, people need to hear this information. And he was upset. And here's a guy that spent, 50 years with the UN, and he'd been...
Well, here's his first problem.
Yeah, well, exactly. But he's doing sustainable buildings, and it was in Ghana, actually. And so, good for him for doing that. But I think this belief in a climate crisis is a mile wide and an inch deep, and that we're really winning this battle. I see it every day. I'm a huge optimist about people waking up. When you see your electricity bills going up like mine have, my home in Florida from $149 a month to over $300 a month this year.
Wow.
In 3 years.
All right, Gregory, we've got to run. Our time's up. We're up against a hard break here. Always a pleasure to have you. If this thing blows, please let us know so we can get you on right away. And go out there and get Gregory Wrightstone's book. He is the executive director of the CO2 Foundation. Gregory, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right. He's right on it, man.
Yeah.
And, a couple of things about the last things he said. First is this poor guy who spent his whole life learning the wrong information, right? Reads Gregory's book and goes, oh, my God, what have I been doing?
Right.
Right? And then I thought about the kids who go to school and they learn about, is it photosynthesis? When we breathe in the oxygen, breathe out the CO2, plants that's not photosynthesis. Anyway,
No.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then they go home and then they hear Al Gore talk and they're like, Mommy, what's going on here?
Oh, it's completely different. Yeah.
Poor kids are so confused.
Right.
All right, let's take some time out for news with townhall.com, and then our Rock'em Sock'em 10 o'clock hour, all about immigration, illegal immigration. And this hits home, Ken. This is right here.
Oh, it's right here.
Right here in Missouri. So that's next with a couple of guys from the St. Charles County Council on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 101.9. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
It's obvious. The unthinkable continues. Most Americans know something very wrong is happening. People in charge keep telling you that everything's fine and to stop noticing. But you know better. That's why self-reliant folks are investing in emergency food storage. You should too. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, are the ones you can trust. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $200 on each 3-month food kit you purchase. My Patriot Supply also sells solar generators, gravity-powered water filters, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship that same day and arrive quickly on your doorstep in unmarked boxes. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today. Time is running out to prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. OPEC and its ally Russia trying to figure out what to do about oil production, ultimately impacting how much you pay at the gas pump.
Prices have tumbled recently despite their efforts to prop them up. That's been a good thing for U.S. drivers who've been able to fill their gas tanks for less. But it's bad news for the OPEC Plus coalition countries whose oil income props up their economies. They've faced setbacks in keeping prices up despite initial fears that the Israel-Hamas war could affect oil flows.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Israel says 2 more Israeli hostages have now been released by Hamas in Gaza. Earlier, a 49-year-old Israeli-American woman was set free.
Leat Benin is safe in Egypt. She's crossed the border. I talked with her mother and father. They're very appreciative, and things are moving well. She'll soon be home with their 3 children.
President Biden applauding the release of the woman whose husband remains in Hamas custody. The Gaza ceasefire, extended for 24 hours, is now in its 7th day. He was a towering figure of 20th century American diplomacy. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has died.
Kissinger was a giant in foreign policy, having served in both the Nixon and Ford administrations. He played a key role in getting the U.S. out of Vietnam and helped pave the way for formalized relations with China. Kissinger was both reviled and revered, drawing harsh criticism and earning a Nobel Peace Prize. The German-born diplomat remained active in diplomacy and consulting after his government service, occasionally attending White House meetings as an elder statesman.
And that's White House correspondent Greg Clugston. On Wall Street, the Dow is up more than 300 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-858-1199. That's 800-858-1199.
Stop overpaying for wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk saves the average family about $1,000 a year on the most dependable 5G network in the U.S. You can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of high-speed data for just $30 a month. If you're ready to cut your wireless bill in half, dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say spend less.
And this hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tracking a storm system as it rolls out of the southwest today brings an increase in cloud cover around here and eventually some rain. It's a dry start, but be ready for scattered showers this afternoon. And then steady, heavier rain settles in late this evening and overnight. This afternoon's high 54, down to 44 overnight. I expect the rain to taper off right around morning rush time Friday, but a couple of sprinkles possible even into the afternoon tomorrow. Friday's high 57, so this is all rain. No snow or ice with this one. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Welcome home. Welcome back. Hour number 2 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Vic Porcelli. That's the great Ken Williams over there. And as we start this hour, a lot of this hour, with the exception of Porcelli's Deli, there's a phrase you've heard before, huh? Will be about a very extraordinary day on this week in 1974. It was actually November 28th, 1974. So coming up at 10:41, we're going to talk to Joe Brazel from the St. Louis County Council.
St. Charles.
What did I say?
St. Louis.
Sorry.
He's used to saying it because every week we have Mark Harder on.
St. Charles County Council. And Mike Elam, who joins us right now, also from the St. Charles County Council. Also, Mike and I used to work together at the river for years and years.
And so did Ken.
Yeah.
And Ken.
We were all together at the river.
Yep.
Back in the day.
My God. Say something from a Popeyes commercial.
Geez, I don't even remember. How about if we do find out more at UMSL Day? That's umsl.edu.
That's it. Yep.
All right. So
we had the one that was, once you find out how much Dalco could have saved you, you'll blow your stack. The greatest hits of radio, right? Back in the day.
Okay. Your voice is so part of the landscape, the radio landscape.
When you talk to Joe Brazel, he will not tell you that. Joe will tell you that I am not a Republican. Actually,
okay.
We sit next to each other, and we have now for 11 years. Joe's been there for 23 years.
On the council?
On the council.
No term limits?
No, there are no term limits on the council. So Joe's been there for 23 years, and he's District 2 and I'm District 3. So we literally sit next to each other. But we couldn't be more different than how we go about trying to solve problems. And I would tell you, the interesting thing is Joe and I pretty much agree on I'd say 95% of everything that comes before the county council. If you look at our voting record, it's pretty much identical. It's very rare that we differ in our votes. What we differ in is how you go about solving problems.
Okay, well, let's talk about...
And that's pretty much what got us here today, I'm guessing.
So, I'm guessing, too. And I got to tell you, reading, Ken gave me this whole 3-page thing on,
nice
what we're going to talk about here.
Ken Williams doing research.
Oh, he's
Look
the
at
best.
that.
He is the best. But the thing is, my analogy is when you go to vote sometimes and the referenda questions are so confusing, you don't even know what the hell you're voting for.
That's fair.
And this substitute Resolution 2308 seems to be a little confusing as well, but it might not be. So
no, it completely is.
It's confusing?
Oh, by all means.
So according to the story by KSDK.com, which pissed me off in the first sentence, when it said leaders in St. Charles County voted 3-3 on a controversial immigration resolution Monday night. If it were the other way around, they wouldn't use the word controversial. No, I don't need adjectives. Just tell me what it is. Is it a resolution or isn't it? Anyway, so basically it's a resolution that opposes a program allowing Latino immigrants to come into the region. You voted against this.
Correct.
So why?
So let's back up for a second. Sure. So if you look at the resolution, and I encourage everybody to go online and pull it up and read it. So the beginning of the resolution and the title of it says that St. Charles County Council is against illegal immigration into the St. Louis region. The end of the resolution says the same thing, right? To be clear, every member of the St. Charles County Council is against illegal immigration into the country, into the state, into the region. No one on the St. Charles County Council wants illegal immigration anywhere in our country.
You included.
Including me. No desire, right? I want you, if you want to come to this country, come legally.
Of course.
And I welcome you.
So where's the problem?
So the problem is that program that gets referenced in all the whereases in between. So there are 21 attorneys general who are challenging the process that this program went through to get put into place. So let's back up for a second. The humanitarian parolee program is the program that is within question. This is the same program that was used to bring over the Bosnians back in the 90s. They brought over they're bringing over the Ukrainian refugees now. They brought over the Afghan refugees who helped our troops during Desert Storm and all of that, right? Same program. The difference is all of those programs were endorsed by Congress. This one was currently with bringing the 4 Latin American countries into those refugees, bringing them into the country, did not go through Congress. So there is where the attorneys general are filing the lawsuit. It's not about the program itself. It's about this particular brand of the program and how it got put into place. Okay. So, sorry, so the folks who sponsored the resolution, their contention is, since this did not go through proper channels, anyone who comes through the program is illegal. That may turn out to be true. But as we sit here on the 30th of November, this has been argued. It sits before a district court judge in the state of Texas. Trump-appointed district court judge in the state of Texas. He said, before he's done we're waiting on his ruling right now. He has said, I don't feel comfortable stopping this process as it sits right now. So he is allowing the process to continue. What that means is the humanitarian parolee program, as we said on the 30th of November, 2023, is a legal process to immigrate into the United States. That is not what this resolution says.
All right. I've got a million questions.
Fire away, brother.
My first question is, and I should have wrote them all down, but you mentioned the Bosnians, right?
Right.
What a unique situation St. Louis is, where there's more Bosnians in St. Louis than there are in the world, except for Bosnia.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But aren't they all legal?
They are.
Immigrants?
They are.
I think that's the difference.
That is the difference.
If these people came through the border and they went through the process, Ellis Island, all that crap, like my grandfathers did, we'd be like, come on in.
Month, as a matter of fact, I was in Ellis Island doing the whole tour, and I learned the whole history of the fact of when you came over on a ship with your family, could have been you, your wife, your kids, you come into Ellis Island, they took you through a screening process. If at any point you failed something in that screening process, they put you back on a ship and sent your happy butt back to wherever you came from. There were many cases where the husband stayed because the child was sick, had tuberculosis or something, wouldn't let you into Ellis Island. They put the wife and the kid back on a ship, sent them back. The husband stayed here, tried to create a way legally to bring them back through. So exactly the process of what you were talking about.
So then I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, if they're illegal, they don't belong here.
Exactly.
So what's the problem? Why is this a 3-3 vote? Why isn't this a?
Because what I just said to you, this
8-0 vote.
So this would be 7. You always have to have an odd number, so you don't have a tie, right? So we're
even
not.
Though we have one, 3-3 vote.
Yeah, and you have to have 4 for it to pass.
Right.
So the problem is this resolution says that the folks who are coming through this program are illegal. That is not true. That's a lie.
Wait a minute. The people who are the immigrants who are coming across the border.
No. Let's back up for a second. That's a good point. To be part of this program, the humanitarian parolee program, okay, that's all the whereases in between the headline, okay? So the whereases in between talk about the humanitarian parolee program. To be part of that program, you have to have a sponsor in the United States who is responsible for you for 2 years. So you could sponsor a family from Cuba to come to the United States, and the Porcelli clan would be in charge of that family for 2 years, okay? Then you would also have to have that family screened before they could even come in. So they've got to be screened, and then once they come here, they have to fly in to a international airport. You cannot walk across the border and be part of this program. That's an automatic disqualification.
But aren't they not waiting in line anyway?
No, these people are waiting in line. These people are going through a screening process with a sponsor, walking through a process that the federal government has put into place that allows them to come into the United States.
Then that would make them legal immigrants.
And Vic, that's my point. The people who are coming in for this program, as we sit today, walk in with legal status in the United States. Mike's help. That's the great
should
thing.
probably turn that on. Mike, my problem here is, okay, what with the way this federal government works and sometimes the governments work, how easy would it be for all these millions, and I'm talking up to maybe 20 million illegal immigrants, can somehow filter into this program?
No, you would. So all 20 million of those illegal immigrants would have to have a U.S. sponsor. And they would have to be responsible for them for 2 years.
But they don't.
And they would have to be screened before they got into the process.
So I guess the concern is, and maybe I'm wrong here, maybe, sometimes, Mike, I try to Occam's razor the whole thing,
It's all right, man.
The most logical answer is the right answer. When you can't definitely assure me, right, that people coming in aren't terrorists, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't know how many Hamas people are in the country. We don't know how many Chinese spies are in the country.
Right.
It gets a little worrisome.
It does. Okay, so let me ask you this. What are you okay with allowing people into the country? What process are you okay with by allowing immigrants into the United States?
The way we've done it for 200 years.
So this is the process. I just told you, this is the same process the Bosnians used to come over. It's the same process the Ukrainians are using to come over.
Did they take the civics test, raise their hand, and all that stuff?
It's not citizenship. It's legal status to be in the country. Citizenship is a completely other bar.
Yeah, I guess he's right there.
Yeah. So we're back to don't conflate the issues, right? If this judge from Texas rules on this and says that this process is illegal, when that happens, we don't have a problem with the county council. We will all be in agreement. When that judge, if that judge says that this program is illegal, at that point, anyone who came through that program would be illegal. But as it sits today, they are not. So that resolution is misleading at best. It is a lie at worst. And I'm not going to knowingly vote for something that is a lie. There's a whole other thing about this, though, of why is the St. Charles County Council even doing it? We have zero power in immigration. Zero. The state has already put together a state immigration policy. That trumps us, right? We can't outdo state. State carries the day for us. Federal carries it over and above state. So state can overrule, or federal can overrule state. State can overrule county. We can't overrule anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? So this situation, until our feds, until our senators and our congressmen in Washington decide to get serious about immigration policy, until we can get Joe Biden out of the White House and put someone in the White House who will build a wall and enforce immigration policy.
Somebody like Donald Trump.
What do you know? That seemed to be working pretty well,
Yeah,
right?
it sure
We're
was.
pretty good on that point.
Yeah.
So until we get to that point, we're stuck with where we are. A lot of times we want to complain about things that we don't like, okay? And that's fine for us to complain about it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You can't say, I think the policy should be this, and because I think that, then what I think is the way it is. Yep. No. Do I think this program is the way the program should be? Probably not. Is this program a legal pathway into the country right now? Yes. So because it is, it doesn't matter if I like it, you like it, Joe likes it, or anybody else likes it. What matters is it is a legal pathway in. Do you have concerns about it? Fine. No problem. But that doesn't change the fact that it's currently a legal pathway in.
I think the biggest concern for just the average citizen not knowing these resolutions or anything are the illegal aliens. I call illegal intruders that are happening right now that we have not vetted, that we do not know anything about, are crossing the border. Is there a possibility they're going to get into St. Charles and change things like that?
Change the program?
Change everything.
Change life.
Just change life as we know it, because they're flooding in, Mike. Ken,
we have a 7 million person invasion of the United States across the southern border. We're being invaded. Stop and do the math. There's about 325 million people in the United States we know of. That's not the people we don't. 7 million plus who have come into this country, invaded our country over the last 3 years.
I think something about what Ken was trying to say, and Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak for you, but we hear stories all the time about this girl gets raped and killed, and then you find out the guy is here illegally.
Right.
So I guess when things like this happen, because when those things happen, we say, well, why did we let somebody like that in the country? You know what I mean?
We didn't.
And this is the chance to stop that, so we don't have to say, why did this girl get killed? Why did this girl get raped?
I don't understand when you say this is a chance. Well, this resolution
This is the beginning. This is the beginning of not letting them in to begin with.
So
it's a confusing resolution, Mike. I mean, you can't even, right? You're having a hard time.
That's the whole point of why 3 of us voted against it, because it's misleading, it's confusing. If this resolution, if Joe would have introduced a resolution that had the beginning of it that said St. Charles County is against illegal immigration, and the end of it that said we are for legal immigration, we are against illegal immigration. If that's what the resolution would have said, it would have been a 7-0 vote, and everyone would have approved it. That's not
where are we,
what it says.
Where are we right now? We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Where are we right now?
This is done. This is through. Now, Brazel can try and bring it back up, but he's going to have 4 council members who agree. He only had 3 last time because Dave Hammond took his name off of it. So Joe's going to have to go out. If he wants to bring this back, he's going to have 4 council members who agree to put it forward. If he doesn't have 4, this is done.
So...
Or he can rewrite the resolution and do what I just suggested and say it's only against illegal immigration. Quit conflating the issue between a legal program and an illegal program and just be straight up, because everybody, including you guys, with the questions you've asked me today, you've said, but this is about illegal immigration. No, it is not. It is conflating the issue between legal and illegal. If he left it as just illegal, that's a 7-0 vote, and we all agree.
What were we going to say?
No, I like it. I like the idea of just keeping people out who are illegal.
And we all agree on that. That's the
be.
whole thing. Every one of us agree on that.
Mike, it's so scary. I mean, not this issue. You know, people come, you just said 325 million that we know of, right? They say 7 million. Ken's convinced it's 20 million people who have crossed into this country.
Well, we know there's more than 20 million over the years. We know that more than 7 million.
I think
just
Biden,
in the last 3.
I just think in the last 3, I think there are more than 7 million.
Well, we're only talking about 7 across the southern border.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about the northern border, which is a whole other porous system that we're not even counting.
And we don't even care. But my point is, we really don't know. I mean, the gotaways, that's the part that really scares us, is the gotaways.
Yeah.
And they could be anybody. I mean,
the gotaways are the ones that if they didn't go through, if they didn't turn themselves in at the border, then the gotaways are the ones that you probably can guess they're here for bad purposes.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, can't thank you enough for coming in. Just a quick, I'm on a tirade about journalism and how bad journalism is.
Yes.
I think Fox News Digital is one of the worst places to get news because it's more like clickbait, like TMZ. You'll never guess what Joe Biden had for dinner tonight, you know?
Right.
And this KSDK story, and this is nitpicky, I know, but it says, in the eyes of 20 attorney generals, that's supposed to be attorneys general.
Attorneys general, correct.
What 12-year-old wrote this is my point.
Well, and it's not a good representation of where we are. But can I say it's really good to see you guys?
You too, man.
I mean,
It's
we
great
worked
to see
together
you.
for so long. I still have my Porcelli's Deli cup at home in my closet.
Look at that.
So, yeah, I mean, our time at the river was awesome, man. I thought we had just the most amazing on-air team, and it was fantastic.
And Vic, I would go downstairs when I was just starting out in radio, and I'd stand behind him and be like, "What do you want?" And I'd be like, "Well, I just want to watch.
What do you want?
I'm just watching you do production." And it turned out that was one of the beneficial things in my whole radio career.
Well, I
so thank
appreciate you, man. Thanks very much for doing it. And I love what you guys are doing. I love the whole team here.
Yeah.
It's good to see, Tony Colombo and Katie and everybody.
Yeah.
And,
I'm the rookie.
And Joe and Jeff.
With all these political minds at the station, I'm the rookie.
No, but it's good because you bring a fresh perspective to everything, and you've always have a great perspective. So it's good to see that. I hope the Porcelli clan is doing well.
Yeah, we are.
It's just so cool to see how your kids all grew up. We all grew up together, over the last 30 years that we've all known each other. It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
So thanks for the opportunity.
You
I
bet,
appreciate
Mike.
you letting me explain where we are, and appreciate it when Joe throws me under the bus.
I was just going to say, Joe's going to come tear you a new one in just about 20 minutes.
No, Joe thinks I'm a complete dipshit. So there you go. I'm sorry, I can't say that on the radio.
No, it's okay. He's got. I don't even know if we have a button in here. Too late. Great to see Mike Elam. Oh, by the way, Elam Avenue over there on 141. Your family got anything to do with that name?
We don't, but remember, Elam spelled backwards is male.
There you go.
There you go. All right, the great voice of Mike Elam and St. Charles County Council member. We'll get the opposite perspective, and I mean probably in a big way, coming up at 9:41. Up next, it's Porcelli's Deli, an extraordinary day. This week in 1974, that's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home and whoosh, my brothers and sisters. Here it comes.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show. You're listening to the Missouri Broadcasters Association Air Talent of the Year. This is the Vic Porcelli Show.
Hey, Colombo here with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Colombo special when you book a cleaning in November, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res because they're simply the best when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home, and they stand behind every cleaning with their gotta love it guarantee. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at INHSTL.com. That's INHSTL.com.
What is a wow diamond? Wow diamonds are named for their brilliance. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers carries wow diamonds. Our team at Newstetter's Fine Jewelers will show customers how the cut of the diamond impacts the brilliance of the diamond.
Newstetter's fine jewelers for Wild Diamonds are located at 2961 Doherty Ferry Road. That's at Big Bend and Doherty Ferry, and online at wilddiamonds.com.
Now, the Onder Prescription with Dr. Bob Onder.
I'm Dr. Bob Onder. How is Missouri's economy doing? Well, most economists would say the best measure is gross domestic product, or the sum of all goods and services produced by a state in 1 year. By that measure, Missouri is lagging. In fact, our own Department of Economic Development recently admitted that Missouri's growth in GDP and productivity has been below the nation and Missouri's Midwest peers since 2010. According to national data, since 1997, Missouri's GDP growth of 32% was well under half the 73% increase of the U.S. as a whole. Missouri lagged behind even New York, New Jersey, and California. The fastest growing states included those without an income tax, such as Florida, Texas, and Washington, and those moving toward more choice and reform in education. If we want to be the kind of state where children will stay to pursue their careers and raise their families, we have to do different. I'm Dr. Bob, and that's my prescription.
Find more Dr. Bob Onder at bobondermo.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Thursday, Tim and Chris have Becky Arps talking about making sure only American citizens can vote, then an update on Israel and Hamas with Dakota Wood, and then school choice with Chris DeGaulle.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Welcome to Porcelli's Deli.
Yes, very good. I'll have a Bloody Mary and a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich, please.
Over here.
Ketchup. Where's the ketchup at? I bet the Chinese food here is terrible.
With Vic Porcelli.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
Porcelli's Deli is moved to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Come on in. We're open. Have a seat. Vic will tell you a story.
Hello there. Come on in. Porcelli's Deli, open for business. And today we are going to talk about something we talked about last year, Ken. I mean, I know it's going to be like almost like a replay of what we did last year, but I think it's an extraordinary story and an extraordinary day.
It is.
So the date we're going to talk about is November 28th, 1974. Okay? I was living in New Jersey at the time, and I used to listen to this radio station in New York. It was a rock station. AOR, we used to call it. Remember the days of AOR, Ken?
Oh, yeah.
Album-oriented rock. It was a great era for radio. And I used to listen to 1027 WNEW FM, New York. Charlie, I can't think of his last name, was the voice guy. Anyway, Charlie Kendall. So there was a guy that I used to listen to. He was on from 6 to 10 every night. His name is Dennis Elsis. And Dennis Elsis, because I listened to that station religiously, he was the guy who told me while I was listening to the radio that Leonard Skinner's plane went down.
Oh.
I will never forget that, man. I was in my bed, headphones on, listening to the station, and I remember sitting up and saying, oh, my God, you know. But Dennis Elsis told me. It was Dennis Elsis who told me that Muddy Waters had died in 1983. I was in my car on the way back from the airport, because I was like Fredo in my family. No, ask Fredo to take somebody to the airport. That was me. So I was on my way back from the airport, and Muddy Waters had died, and Dennis Elsis made the announcement on the air. So not only did I like listening to him, and I was listening to him for some pretty major milestones in music, he was also kind of my idol, my rock and roll hero. You know?
Yeah, you depended on him for the information that you needed within music.
And I wanted to sound like him. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be him. I wanted to work at WNEW-FM in New York. Of course, that never happened. Did work at WMMR in Philadelphia, though, their sister station. That was kind of cool. So it was Thanksgiving Day. November 28th, 1974 was Thanksgiving Day. Now, in those days, all these guys, right, they were the icons of music and radio. They worked 6 days a week. They did their Monday through Friday show, and then they come in on the weekends and do a weekend show. Or holidays. This is a full-time guy, 6 to 10 every night, and he was working on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
So he's doing his show. I think it was a 2 to 6 show, 2 in the afternoon to 6 show. And one of the most unbelievable things happened. John Lennon of the Beatles comes knocking on the radio station door with his new album under his arm called Walls and Bridges.
That's when you know you've made it as a radio station and a DJ.
I mean, people with new albums, local guys will come in sometimes when we're at the river. They'd come in unexpectedly.
Oh, yeah. We had, remember Train actually played acoustically?
He was great.
Train played acoustically in the conference room at the river. And I remember walking in. I was going to go see them there. But I walked into the mail room, and I'm doing something. He's in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, hi.
Now imagine if that was a Beatle.
Oh, my God.
Right? So John Lennon walks in with his new album. The album was Walls and Bridges. And Dennis Elsis and John Lennon are talking about the album, and they play a couple of songs from the album. And John stuck around for the whole show, and he would read some of the commercial copy. The weather's brought to you by Nobody Beats the Wiz, which was a record store in New York. So if I can go back in time a little bit, I'm like Quentin Tarantino here. Go back to when they were recording the album Walls and Bridges and the song Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Ken, we're all familiar with that song. Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right. So Elton John is the other voice on that. It's John Lennon and Elton John. And while they're recording it, Elton was so revved up about this song, he says to John, this is going to be a #1 hit. And John, his cynical, no, I don't think so, So Elton John makes a bet with John Lennon. He said, if this song makes it to #1, you have to come on stage with me at Madison Square Garden and sing it with me. John said, it's a bet. So they make the bet. Sure enough, the song makes it to #1, right? Same day that Elton John just shows up out of nowhere on WNEW-FM, that night, Elton John, Thanksgiving night, is playing at Madison Square Garden. And sure enough, he was there, and Elton John introduced the crowd to John Lennon.
Seeing it's Thanksgiving, we thought we'd make tonight a little bit of a joyous occasion by inviting someone up with us onto stage. And I'm sure he will be no stranger to anybody in the audience when I say it's our great privilege and your great privilege to see and hear Mr. John Lennon.
So now, you're an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You got tickets to see Elton John at Madison Square Garden. Back then, Ken, 1974, I think that was one of like 8 sold-out shows in a row at Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Madison Square Garden was his favorite place to play, Elton John. So you're an 18-year-old kid, you're watching Elton John, and John Lennon, a Beatle, walks on stage. Wow. Are you kidding me? So they do Whatever Gets You Through the Night, the song that the bet was all about. They did I Saw Her Standing There, which is so cool. John Lennon and Elton John doing it together. And then they did Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, right? And then John left and Elton finished up the show. So, Ken, is it me, or is that a most extraordinary day in rock and roll history?
Absolutely.
John walks into a radio station. Dennis Elsis, legend in radio, who's still alive, by the way. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but most of the full-time guys at NEW are all dead. Dave Herman turned out to be a complete scumbag and was living in St. Thomas and had underage girls come visit him and everything. And he went to jail and died in jail.
Karma.
He was a superhero to me when he was on the air. Dave Herman, mornings,
Wow.
WNEW-FM.
So when John Lennon came into the studio, you were listening?
Everybody listened to Dennis Elsis.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All the time.
I didn't want to offend.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I get that question.
You responded like, oh, yeah, everybody's listening.
I'll explain that in a second. Let me get back to the staff.
Okay.
So Dave Herman's dead. Pete Fornatell, who did 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., he died. Scott Muni did 2 to 6 o'clock. Scott Muni was like the 5th Beatle. He was like chummy with the Beatles, So that was 2 to 6. 6 to 10 was Dennis Elsis, and 10 to 2 was Bayonne Butch, Vince Scelsa at night. It was an amazing radio station. It really was.
Yeah.
And for John Lennon to just show up one day, and the I don't know what you call it, word of mouth, when people heard that John Lennon was just hanging out with Dennis Elsis, everybody called everybody. Oh my God, John Lennon's on with Dennis Elsis.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and we didn't have any way to record it back then, right?
Right.
You couldn't put in a cassette and play it because cassettes weren't even a thing yet. I
Oh,
don't think in
okay.
74, you know?
All right.
We were still listening to 8 tracks in the car. And everybody on Thanksgiving Day was glued to the radios listening to John Lennon and Elton John. Dennis Elsis and John Lennon. Now, did I hear the whole thing? No, I didn't hear the whole thing. But I swear to God, I did hear him do the weather and say, "Weather's brought to you by Nobody Beats the Whiz." Nobody Beats the Whiz was a record store. And they started out as just the Whiz. It was just called the Whiz. And then
They got their money's worth that day.
boy. And then the tagline of their commercials was "Nobody Beats the Whiz." So then they called it the whole store "Nobody Beats the Whiz." And to hear John Lennon say it is just so out of context, out of character, you know?
Yeah.
You don't expect the Beatles to "Nobody Beats the Whiz." So Thanksgiving Day, John Lennon sits in with Dennis Elsis, plays his new record. That very night, John Lennon goes to Madison Square Garden and joins Elton John on stage, and they do the song that the bet was all about. Now, Ken, the most poignant part of this story, that was John Lennon's last public appearance.
Oh, my God.
The last time he ever played in front of people was with Elton John on Thanksgiving night, 1974.
An extraordinary day.
At Madison Square Garden. I mean, he could have done a concert on his own. You know what I mean? It could have been his last performance. He could have gone on with anybody else. This was Madison Square Garden, right? Elton John, Thanksgiving night. Nobody knew about the bet, by the way, back then. We didn't learn about the bet until later. But pretty extraordinary day, this day in 1974, and it all started with this song. And that's all the time we have for Porcelli's Deli. Yeah. From Walls and Bridges, John Lennon. Whatever gets you through the night, little help from Elton John on 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. Welcome home. You can hear Elton, right? You can clearly hear Elton.
Yeah.
What a shame. All right, so we had Mike Elam on. He is a member of the St. Louis County Council. And by the way, after the interview, before he left, he said he's running for county executive up there in St. Charles County.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out. I hope we have a little funnel to him for information because we know him.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so what he came in to talk about, though, was this substitute resolution about immigrants, illegal immigrants in St. Charles County. And we're going to talk to the guy that brought up the whole resolution. His name is Joe Brazel, and he's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Think about what you'd think about at the time.
So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
On News Talk STL.
Ew. You know, just last night, I was hugging my wife, and I said, "My God, you smell good." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I don't want to be Joe Biden." God, he ruined everything that a man loves, you know?
It.
The smell of your wife when she comes out of the shower. Is there a better smell in the world than that?
No.
Joe ruined it. Thanks, Joe, you jackass. So listen, this morning, I actually enjoyed the conversation about the foster care program. And this guy called up, his name was Tom, who fostered 4 kids at once, adopted another kid, so 5 or 6 kids in his house under his roof at the same time. And do you know who was a foster kid? Jen Wallner. She was in a bad situation, and she ended up in a worse situation, and then she didn't let that stop her, and now look at her. She is on the best realty team in St. Louis. It's the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Her husband, Rodney, and Jen are the team, and they will get you where you want to go if you want to sell your house, okay? One of the keys is that they're already working on it, right? When you call them at 314-810-SOLD, you're going to say, yeah, I want to sell my house. She's like, yep, we're already working on it, but I never talked to you before. That's okay. We're working on it. We got so many home buyers qualified, ready to go. We'll get you a guaranteed offer. They're also now licensed in Missouri and Illinois. They're great people, husband and wife team, no obligation. Please give them a call if you want to sell your house. It is the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here.
Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1.
And always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
Columbo and Katie.
When it comes down to getting in the ballot box, Democratic voters vote for the Democrat.
Yeah.
Republican voters are typically more in tune with the policies of the candidates, not the party in general, of the candidates. And if they don't like a candidate, they won't vote for him. But you need to understand that the team that you're going against, they're going to vote for the letter no matter what.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
You want to give someone something which they will really enjoy? Give them a Cafe Napoli gift card. You pick the amount, and they pick which of the Cafe Napolis they want to visit. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Cafe Napoli in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, or right next door, Napoli C. The Napoli gift card. It's the perfect gift for anyone or your entire office. Cafe Napoli. Cafe Napoli.
Fox News commentary.
You would have thought after a multi-million-dollar lawsuit from Nick Sandman, a.k.a. the Covington Catholic student who was railroaded by the mainstream media for literally standing and smiling, that mainstream media would have learned a lesson. But no. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
December 6th, the final GOP debate of the year is on News Nation, America's fastest-growing cable news network. SiriusXM's Megyn Kelly, News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas, and the Washington Free Beacon's Eliana Johnson moderate a live primetime event from the University of Alabama as the candidates make their case to America on the only network for all America. The News Nation Republican primary debate, live December 6th, 8 Eastern. To find News Nation on your TV, go to joinnn.com.
Mail that can be canceled regardless of the merit or truth of the accusations, members of the activist media will go to town. That's what happened to a Kansas City Chiefs fan after a Deadspin writer published a hit piece on the young boy for supposedly wearing blackface to the game. The article titled, "The NFL Needs to Speak Out Against the Kansas City Chiefs Fan in Blackface, Native Headdress." The article also included a one-sided and skewed photo, and it looks bad, unless you show the whole photo of the little boy whose face is indeed painted black, but half black, not to promote racism, but as a part of the red and black colors of the Kansas City Chiefs. These race hustlers are shameless and so hungry to find racism, they will literally create it where it doesn't exist. And this Deadspin writer deserves the Nick Sandman treatment. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Now, we need to evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships. Let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Way to be clear, Joe. Yeah. Welcome home to 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Vic Porcelli. That is the one and only Ken Williams over there. So we spent some time talking to Mike Elam, who was on the St. Charles County Council from District 3. And the guy who sits right next to him at the meetings, Joe Brazel from the St. Charles County Council, joins us. Joe, thanks so much for being with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Boy, you sound great.
Good.
So this substitute resolution, right? 2308. You had a vote of 3-3. Okay, well, first of all, let's start with we're getting, and I apologize for this, Joe. We're getting the information from KSDK. Okay, 12-year-old kids writing news, and it says leaders in St. Charles County voted 3-3 on a controversial immigration resolution. I don't need the adjectives from them. Okay, just tell me it's a resolution. So it's substitute resolution 2308. I want to hear your take on what it is, and then we'll get into a little bit of what Mike said, which I'm sure you'll disagree with a lot of stuff he said.
Right. Well, so what it is a Homeland Security. They passed this policy without it. Didn't go through the Biden administration. It did not go through the process, the legislative process of Congress. So you can't just change immigration laws on a whim and a sign of a pen, or Biden or whoever. And so with this immigration, this parole program, they call it, they just accept 4 countries. They can just come in and they call them parolees or whatever, and they have to be sponsored according to their rules. They have to be sponsored for 2 years. So what this organization out of St. Louis, when they said, "Oh, we're going to bring all these immigrants in from Chicago," because they brought in 18,000, obviously it's not working. And Chicago has one very similar issue: is they got the highest crime rate in the country. So anyway, so they announced that they're going to do this, and so Andrew Bailey, our attorney general, and 19 other attorney generals are suing the Biden administration on this particular parole program, claiming that it's totally illegal. They didn't follow the legislative process. It's unconstitutional. So in the views of 20 other attorney generals, this is not a legal process. This is not a legal program. So when they started touting St. Louis that they're going to bring immigrants in and do this and do that, and they'll be sponsored for 3 months. And Vic, back to if you believe that this is even a legitimate program, it requires 2 years. So let's keep that in mind.
Right.
But they were going to do 3 months, give them a living quarters and a phone. And so I was having a lot of constituents say, what are you guys doing about this? And again, Mike is right on the fact that we don't deal with immigration. But a lot of times we do resolutions. Any resolution we do is merely a statement. It's meaningless, but a statement. It's like we're taking this position. And so for county council members to say that they don't want to stand on this position because we can't do immigration, blah, 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 I agree with that. But then you shouldn't vote for any other resolutions for the last, 10 years you've been on the council, which you support a lot of other resolutions. So it's either is it or it isn't. So you can't vote no for it because you think it's controversial. We have nothing to do with it. Therefore, you can't support any resolution because it's all the same. And that's my position. But I could go on and on, Vic. I don't mean to rant.
No. Hey, we want you to say what you want to say, but we also, we're limited in time, and I want to ask you some questions. So I want to try to get them all in, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So to me, okay, I'm not a politician, okay? I'm not on any councils or anything. But part of this, and again, pardon the elementary sound of the things I say, is to protect the people of your county from who knows what, right? To dovetail on that, these people are sponsored. Are they really? What about the people who come in through the southern border and they have court dates that they never show up for? Are we to believe they really, truly are all sponsored, or are they truly illegal?
You have no way of knowing, Vic, and you also have no way of knowing who's vetting these people. I mean, if you're telling me that we're going to rely on the Biden administration to do a good job of due diligence, you're insane. I mean, and this is a horrible idea. Let's look at the truth here. So St. Louis is a failing community with a lot of policies. With their police, the police are leaving in groves. They're understaffed. They're underpaid. They can't do their job. It's just dysfunctional. And then you're going to bring illegal immigrants in who don't know our traditions, don't know our laws. It's a horrible idea. But if you want to do something good and you want to really help people, what about all the homeless people down there? What about them? What about the people who live in our community and been a part of our community? Shouldn't they be in front of the illegal immigrants? I mean, really? And then veterans, all these veterans of PTS and all this other stuff, shouldn't we be taking care of them? If you want to do something good, do something for people who live in the community. And for the black community, I can't believe that they would not be opposed to this as well, because these are taking jobs from all kinds of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it, and it makes no sense. And you know what? What are we spending? $450 billion a year on illegal immigrants in our country?
Yep.
I mean, seriously? And Vic, and you may or may not agree with me on this, but everything the Biden administration does is out of the handbook to destroy our country.
Oh, I could
And this is
completely
one
agree
of
with
these
that.
policies. Totally, this is one of these policies. And for our county council members who are supposed to be Republican, who back down from these hard decisions, these are the same three politicians that in our county that did not stand up for our citizens about this COVID nonsense, the 350,000 quarantine days in 2020 when we had nobody die under the age of 30 from COVID. This is the ridiculous liberal nonsense woke crap that they don't have the balls to stick up for and do the right thing, and they're scared and they're pandering to the moderate lefts. And that's the problem with politicians. They're weak and they're poor leaders, and that's what we don't need. And if people don't want to vote for me, I don't give a damn, because I don't need this job. I do it because I like it. I do it. I try to represent my county, and I believe I do the right thing. I'm fair to people. I don't care if you're Republican, liberal, or Democrat. I represent everyone equally. But these issues are American issues. They're not partisanship issues. These are American issues, following the Constitution, doing the right thing. And if people don't understand it, they should not be in leadership roles, period.
Well, I not only do Ken and I agree with you that everything Biden does is doing to completely destroy the USA, we also believe
everything woke turns to shit, okay?
Completely. Okay? Okay.
All right.
That's beautiful, man.
This
Beautiful.
is the MAGA radio program you're on right now. Joe, we're talking to Joe Brazel. He's on the St. Charles County Council. This resolution, Ken?
Yeah, I just had a question for Joe. Joe, Mike's argument was that these people that are going through with this resolution, they are all legal through the process. And I'm kind of leaning toward what you're saying, where you can't trust the administration and you can't trust, government to guarantee that these people are above board and they're all vetted and ready to go.
Well, that's exactly right. But here, if Mr. Elam is saying that, then what is the Attorney General in Missouri? Is he just an idiot? I mean, he just filed a lawsuit because he's an idiot?
Point.
No, because he knows what the law is. And there's points on it. I sent our council members just all this legal stuff, but he probably didn't even read it. But there's cases that they're not. Let me tell you this, guys. If in fact that you really wanted to be a humanitarian, why did you pick these four countries? What about everybody? I mean, what about the Irish, the Italians? What about the Australians? What about the Koreans? Why is it just these four? Why is it just these four countries?
That's a good point.
I mean, does that make? What does that make any sense? I mean, Irish is having a lot of problems with Ireland.
Boy, they
I mean,
sure
why
are
not?
right
Open the door to them. So if you want to do this feel-good stuff, then do it for everyone. That's the way it's supposed to be. Isn't it discriminatory if you're just doing four countries? I mean, what the hell is that all about?
No, I get it. And you know what? I apologize for my ignorance. I didn't realize that it's only, Ken, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
Yes, I don't get that.
What about everybody else?
Right.
I get you.
Yeah,
Tony.
what about everybody else? And I brought that up. And if you want to do something, do it for or make it equal opportunity. Isn't that what we believe in?
Of course.
Every man is equal. Why isn't the other people? Why aren't they? Can't they be involved in this? I mean, none of this makes any sense. And for the politicians who voted no for this resolution, they're weak because they're wanting to pander. They want to pander to these leftists. And look, if you're elected in St. Charles County as a Republican, as they were, then don't be a fraud. Stick up to the badge of honor of being a Republican and doing what you're supposed to do, what your conservative constituents expect out of you. And this liberal woke nonsense, just if you read the law, like there's 3 points in the law. It fails each of the law's 3 limiting factors. It's not a case-by-case basis. It's not for urgent humanitarian reasons. Advances no significant public benefit. Hundreds of thousands of aliens to enter the United States who otherwise have no basis of doing so. This is the language in the lawsuit in Missouri and 19 other states. And so this program, guys, is announcing to permit up to 360,000 aliens annually from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. From those 4 countries. They're the ones that get the parole program. Does that make sense? And so this whole thing, to me, I'm almost shocked that these council members voted no. I don't know if it's an anti-me thing because I give them pushback all the time on their woke and liberal perspectives. Like I said, the COVID thing opened my eyes on everything, and that's when I began to fall out of grace with these liberal council members on our board because I didn't agree with any of the nonsense. They weren't sticking up. Our director of health was wearing a mask up until now. I mean that you're a neurotic loser if you're still wearing a mask.
Gotcha.
I mean, so come on.
All right, Joe, we're out of time. We're up against the hard break, but thank you so much for your time. Now that we've had a chance to meet, and now that we've had you and Mike on the show, we appreciate it. In about 30 seconds, if you can, where does this resolution stand now? Can it come back for another vote?
Well, it can't come back. Matt Swanson called me yesterday. He's very frustrated with it. He had knee surgery, so he couldn't attend the meeting. He's wanting to know what we should do with it. Should we bring it back? So we're talking about it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, will we bring it back? I don't know. But you guys, I mean, I appreciate for what you do. And listen, you say my number. You guys call me anytime you want. I'll
got
be on
it.
your show anytime you want. And we'll rock and roll on any of this stuff. I'm tired of these woke liberal idiots. I'm just tired of them.
Yeah. So if he were there and not getting knee surgery, this would have passed.
It would have passed. Absolutely.
Wow.
And his knee was really swollen.
No,
and
I get
blue
it.
And, yeah.
He's a wimp.
So
He should have got. No, I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding. All right, Joe. Again, thanks for your time. We'll definitely be back in touch for this and other matters up there in St. Charles, Freedom County, as we call it.
Hey, Joe,
Yes, sir.
real quick.
The big lie, the big lie is a lot of bullshit. That's what it is.
Are we right? Are we right, Joe?
That's beautiful. Don't forget, guys, we got our Christmas parade in December on this Saturday. It's a beautiful Freedom Festival. It starts at noon, so come on down.
We want to talk to the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Yeah.
Well, come on down. We'll see y'all down there.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Joe Brazel from the St. Charles County Council. The other day, we were talking about documentaries, you and I, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about the fall of Minneapolis. And I said to you, Ken, I said, you could watch two different documentaries on the same subject, and both sides make great, compelling things that could make you think either way.
Exactly right.
Right? And that's exactly what happened here this morning. Mike Elam came, and he had his talk about it, and he was firm about what he believed in and all that.
And they both had good points. I think that's what you're trying to say there.
I think part of their job is to protect the people of St. Charles County.
I'd say that's most of their job.
And I'm telling you, when somebody comes into that county and murders somebody or rapes somebody,
right,
we're going to say, we shouldn't have let him in. This is where it starts, not letting them in.
And that's the bottom line, is we just don't want a bunch of illegal intruders in our midst.
I think it's different. I think this and the Bosnian thing is different. All right.
Yeah,
Listen,
it is.
Thanks for having the record player on at night. Listen to us this morning. Joe?
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
What I just said. Dan Bongino's next on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at cih.health. That's cih.health.
Hi, Sean Long with STL Fenceworks. Our company realized another extraordinary year of great business. I thank God for engineering our success and for this great nation and all the blessings it offers those who persevere and work hard. Second, I want to personally thank the great customers who put their faith in our company to make their home and backyard dreams a vision fulfilled. STL Fenceworks doesn't exist without you, and I'm humbled and grateful for your patronage. I also want to thank all my great employees. You're the backbone of STL Fenceworks. You make my vision a reality. I'm truly honored to work amongst such fine people. Finally, as the year ends, I want to remind everyone to take time to enjoy the season. Embrace your family and friends, count the blessings in your life. Reflect on the important things, and don't forget the true meaning of Christmas. When a baby was born, Jesus, our Savior. On behalf of everyone at STL Fenceworks, have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed and prosperous New Year.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Hamas has released 2 Israeli hostages as the truce in Gaza has endured another day. The planned exchange more hostages for prisoners comes during a one-day extension of the ceasefire, now in its 7th day. Embattled Representative George Santos refuses to resign from the House ahead of Friday's planned vote to expel him, in the wake of an ethics committee report that accuses the New York Republican of engaging in criminal activity.
Congressman Santos on Thursday reiterated he would not resign from Congress amid the efforts to expel him, which he slammed as bullying.
If I leave, they win. If I leave, the bullies take place. This is bullying.
The House is expected to vote on expulsion Friday. Representative Santos is facing federal corruption charges in new accusations he misused campaign funds. The first-time congressman is also facing criticism for fabricating certain parts of his life story during his campaign for Congress. Edwin Mora, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, longtime diplomat and former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has died.
Kissinger was a commanding figure in U.S. foreign policy during the Nixon and Ford administrations. He won a Nobel Peace Prize for his diplomatic efforts, even as he was a lightning rod for controversy. He remained active in foreign policy late in life, making a surprise visit to Beijing this past summer at age 100 to meet with China's president.
White House correspondent Greg Cluxton. Oklahoma preparing to execute a ban for double slaying in 2001, despite his claims that he acted in self-defense. Philip Hancock will receive the lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister. On Wall Street, the Dow had 280 points, but the NASDAQ is down 119. More at townhall.com.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, Lance Wall now. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group, because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word FAITH to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
A new study
from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tracking a storm system as it rolls out of the southwest today brings an increase in cloud cover around here and eventually some rain. It's a dry start, but be ready for scattered showers this afternoon. And then steady, heavier rain settles in late this evening and overnight. This afternoon's high 54, down to 44 overnight. I expect the rain to taper off right around morning rush time Friday, but a couple of sprinkles possible even into the afternoon tomorrow. Friday's high 57, so this is all rain. No snow or ice with this one. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at SerenityLTC.com.
As you know, my friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Now Mike has done it again with his My Slippers, and the folks at My Pillow are having an early Christmas slipper sale. The original My Slippers regular price is $139.98, but for a very limited time, they're offering these slippers for just $39.98. They come in a variety of sizes and colors. Use a promo code ONFIRE at MyPillow.com or call 1-800-645-1945.
1392. The My Slippers are designed to be worn indoor and out. They are made with MyPillow foam and impact gel to help prevent fatigue. Plus, they feature quality suede leather. Unlock this special offer and other savings by using the promo code ONFIRE at mypillow.com. Once again, that number is 800-645-1392, 800-645-1392, or you can go to mypillow.com, use a promo code ONFIRE, and get your special discount today.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
I think on the bread and butter issues, Biden has failed young people, and we have an opportunity to do very well.
101.9 and 94.1.
Poor Joe Biden, to the extent that he knows what's going on every day, he doesn't have the energy any longer.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL.
From the NYPD to the Secret Service to behind the microphone, taking the fight to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Dan Bongino Show. Here he is, Dan Bongino.
Yes, we just caused a little bit of a storm on the podcast. I hope you caught that. You didn't, you can always go watch it later. But, so I'm sitting there this morning. Today was a leg day workout. It's like, I don't know, 6:30 or so. Went down a little early. Don't usually get down there that early. And wasn't a particularly heavy day. So it's Thursday, the end of the week. I don't usually crush the legs at the end of the week because I want to be able to walk around and move during the weekend, spend some time with the kids and the wife. So I'm sitting in the garage, and I'm thinking about this case. And, yes, there's a lot to talk about. I know during slow news cycles. Hey, can you flip that over to the cable if you can? I'm thinking, I know there's a lot to talk about. I do have a lot to get to. I promise you. The Elon thing, we'll talk about that, what that really means. Some new poll numbers that came out that prove a theory I've had for a really long time. But I was thinking about this poor kid, the Kansas City Chiefs kid, who had painted his face in the team colors, and some lunatic from Deadspin had accused him of, being a racist, anti-black, anti-Indian, I don't know, Nazi or some crazy nonsense. It was I don't even remember. The article was just so ridiculous and preposterous. It was tough to read. I'm clearly being hyperbolic, but the implication was that the kid was some kind of a little mini bigot in training or something. And I'm thinking about this case, and again, I know, folks, you probably had enough of it, but I'm being sincere with you and genuine. The case really, really bothers me. A lot, because it just speaks to where we are as a culture, that you have this one side of the political divide, right? The left. I wouldn't necessarily stigmatize all Democrats that way, but definitely the radical left that is so desperate to hurt people and kind of wield this cancel culture axe to destroy people's lives, that since they've run out of adult targets who will take them seriously, that someone there thought it was a good idea, this guy, Karen Phillips, to attack this young kid. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I got to do something, but I don't know what to do. I mean, what am I going to do? I don't know the kid. The kid's name is Holden Armenta. I saw him last night. I think he was on Jesse Waters' show on Fox. The kid seems like the most innocent young kid you've ever seen. His family, they're actual Native Americans, a family. There's a lineage there, unlike Elizabeth Warren. And I thought, well, there's not much I can do. I'm not going to interview him on, maybe he doesn't come on my show. He did Fox. People saw him. And I thought we really need to show some solidarity with this kid, folks. I mean this, okay? And I'll tell you what I did in a second. Some of you saw it. But we've got to, life's about symbolism. It is. I know it sounds corny, but you think of like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, right? Where he's, why would you dress up as a bat? And he keeps explaining how, people need these symbols. Like they need, human beings think in stories and narratives, and they need, symbols sometimes can mean bigger things. And yeah, I get it. Stupid Batman movie, whatever. But there's a bit of truth to that. The greatest symbol in the world that changed humankind is the cross. It's a symbol. It's not a real cross. No one's being crucified on it anymore, but you wear it because it's a symbol. I have a tattoo of one on my shoulder. Why do you wear that? You wear that because you want to signify that you're part of something bigger, and the symbol kind of is a sign. And I thought maybe this kid, whether he knows it or not, this Holden Armenta child, maybe he did create a symbol, whether he knows it or not. And maybe we should take that symbol and run with it. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? Keep in mind, it's like 6:30 in the morning, and the show, at least the podcast, we start recording at 11 a.m. Eastern, so an hour before this show. It obviously goes an hour. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint my face like this kid, and I'm going to do the open of the show with the face paint. And ordinarily, when I have ideas like that, I'll bring them up to Guy, my podcast producer, or my wife, Paula, and one of them at least will be like, it's probably a dumb idea and you shouldn't do that. So I don't do a lot of things because I'm smart and I like to take advice from people who know stuff. It's very rare that both of them are like, I freaking love that idea. Paula loved it so much. She's like, I'm running out right now to Walgreens to go get you face paint. She couldn't find it. So this is how great of an idea this was. My neighbor, who I went to her house for Thanksgiving, whose mom, Ramona, made me the Louisiana stuffing that I lived off for 3 days because it was so rich, right? That neighbor, she's like, I love this idea so much. I'm out at Michael's down in Stewart, Florida, and they have face paint here. I will buy it for you and bring it to the house. So we're in a mad rush. Paula's painting my face. We actually get up here. I walk up. Guy turns around like, what the hell? And producer Joe's like, what? And Guy's like, this is the greatest idea you've ever had. And we did the beginning of the show in Holden Armenta's face paint. If you want to watch it, you can see it on True Social and Twitter. You can see pictures of it. But it's not about me. It's about this young kid who was ruthlessly attacked. And folks, if you do watch my podcast or you listen to my radio show in the past, I play the video a lot of the that music festival, I believe in Washington, where I'll describe it for you, but this guy gets up and dances at this music festival, and he's dancing kind of crazy. I played it on my podcast. It's used in leadership schools all over the world, this crazy video. It's a grainy video. Oh, do you have it? Yeah, I'll play the audio in a second. Let me. Good, thanks, Jim. Let me set this up for you. There's a guy, and he's at a music festival. You're going to hear music in the background. And he starts dancing, and he's really dancing crazy. And everybody at this festival is kind of laughing at him. Well, why is this taught in leadership schools? Because a second guy gets up and starts dancing with this guy and emulating his moves, like dancing crazy. And people are still kind of laughing, like, there's a second guy. And then a third guy gets up. And within minutes, the entire festival is dancing like this guy. This really happened. It's not, the video's been, again, leadership schools, business schools show this video. And the premise and the point of the entire video in leadership schools, that's where I first saw it, is that it's not the first guy who gets up and dances who really makes a difference. In other words, Holden Armenta, who puts face paint on to celebrate his love of the Chiefs, wasn't trying to dance. He wasn't trying to change the world. But it's people who are going to get up and show that symbol and dance with him afterwards, that they're not going to stand for this cancel culture BS anymore, who are going to show up at NFL games and college games this weekend painting their face red and black. Those are the second, third, 10,000, 100,000, million people to start dancing. And that's how a movement starts. Here, listen to this audio.
If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut, and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers, because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry.
It's one of the greatest videos you'll ever watch. It's not about the first guy to get up and dance. It's about the first guy to join him. And then 3. And this is how you start a movement. Folks, and if you know, I get it, maybe the Batman example is a little too hokey and corny. I understand you're a serious crowd. Let me give you a more practical example in the real world that changed human history, certainly the history of our constitutional republic. What about tea? Tea? A couple of people got really upset about tax policy from a monarch and decided they were going to throw some tea in a harbor. Just tea. You realize to this day, we still talk about that. 2011, 2012, 2010, the beginnings of a Tea Party movement started again. It's just a symbol. It's just tea. Tea. You drink it. Now, the point is it symbolized something bigger. It symbolized a rebellion. And folks, I think it's way past time for a rebellion against this cancel culture, too. This cancel culture is infected like a metastasizing cancer. Our entire free society. It's infected people's brains like that, fungus in that zombie movie. The only way to get rid of it is to start a movement. And I mean a movement, a big movement, an enormous movement, a powerful movement like we had in the Tea Party, where for the first time in a long time, we made some significant government changes. I wish they would have stuck more long-term, but we learned a lot from it. You had hundreds of thousands of people show up on the Washington Mall saying we'd had enough. Maybe it's time to do that again. Maybe this young kid who had no expectations whatsoever of being put into a spotlight, he did nothing wrong, just celebrating his team. Maybe his face paint becomes a symbol of something bigger. Maybe it's time we make it a symbol of something bigger. Maybe that red and black, maybe you don't paint your face. Maybe you show up with a poster that's just painted red and black. I don't know. But I think it's time that